everyone. Today I'm going to show you a quick tutorial about using the stitch kit in a little project, upcycled project from things that you have on hand. I made a wrap bracelet, and it's also something that you could wrap your journal with or a book. You could use it as a bookmark. So be creative and think of some different ways that you can use this little stitch kit in your creativity. But this is a very quick, peaceful little project that I like to do. I like to have these sitting near my place at night where I sit to watch TV or read, and I'll just do these, and they take about 10 to 15 minutes to stitch. So in your kit, in your letter kit, you had some embroidery floss and a piece of dyed linen with a word stamped on it, and then a needle was also in this. And I just wanted to show you how simple, I mean, if you've never stitched before, give it a try. So this is just a running stitch, and you're just going to take all 5 strands of your embroidery floss. I like that look. It's just a little easier if you're first starting out. If you're a pro, you just do what you're comfortable with, and just stitch away. I like to do this in the evenings. It kind of helps me settle, and it's a very great like meditation and calming practice. So I just wanted to show you how simple that was. So it's, you know, like the stitch that we all learned in kindergarten probably. And so if stitching is not your thing, definitely, you know, be creative and find ways around that. You could definitely take this and go over it with a marker to make it a little bit more bold, or you could totally just use this like this. It would still be really cute. So I have mine layered with some beads. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to show you the different things that I gathered from my own closets and just things that I had around the house. I like to collect interesting fabrics and textiles. I don't know if anyone else has one of these, but I have a whole big basket of just interesting things that I throw together and use in dyeing and other projects. But if you don't have that, I would suggest, so this piece was a dress that I had, and I took it apart. I liked the embroidery, and I thought that was really pretty. And I just cut strips from it and actually tore them. And there was a little bit of embroidery on the front of the dress too. So I thought that would be kind of a pretty upcycled project for this. So that would look with there. But I also wanted to show you, like, I have some pillow covers that would make a great backing for your piece. This was, I think it's a purse or a bag that I found, so I might cut that up. Just some other pieces of interesting textiles. I think these were also pillow covers that I cut up. Another vintage piece that I had. And so this piece, I think I cut strips out of this. And so that would look kind of cool together if you just cut a little bit for the backing and then cut some strips. This is an old granny purse that I thought would be nice backing. But I kind of went through all of my stuff. I had some of this interesting like sari ribbon. Thought that would look pretty with that. And I just played around with some different ideas from my stash. What I ended up doing was I had this upcycled scarf that I had thrifted for a few dollars, and the fibers in it were perfectly scrunched to make a bracelet out of. I really liked that. So that's what we're gonna do today. And the first thing you're gonna wanna do is I'm gonna cut this down, and this tears really nice. And depending on how wide of a bracelet you want. You know, you don't want to get it too close to the stitching, but give yourself some space. You can always trim it later. You can't add to it, so. And there really is no mistakes when you're doing these kind of fun projects. They're just playful and experimental, so don't sweat it too much. It can always be taken apart, and it's inexpensive materials, and it's a fun way to really explore your creativity. So I have my little stitch piece. Let's work with this today, because I think I'd like to see how that goes. So the upcycled dress, I was thinking I would take a little piece off of here for the backing. And you absolutely don't have to do a backing. I liked it. It just was a little warm, like a little thicker for me to wear, so I did put a backing on mine. Let me show you in my, and I just stitched it right on. So you can see all the stitches. You can see the stitches. I love the messy stitches, and I love seeing those black little random meditative stitches and all that. So that was my backing. So I will cut a little backing from here. I'm gonna cut this in half. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not really even like measuring. I do want to pull some of this bulk off because this piece had 2 layers, so. And I'm going to start there. I'm going to leave that there because I think I'll trim it later. I'm going to take a little bit of this off. But I like how that I can see a little bit of the edge, and then I can trim that later once I'm done. And I'm going to take the little scraps of wrap and my needle, which I have lost at this point. Oh, there it is. And then some more of my black. And I'm just going to randomly stitch those little straps on. And I'll just quickly show you. And I love that when you do these, they kind of like, they tell you as you go along what they need. So it's fun to explore and be open. With the first one I did, I didn't end up doing any stitching, but this one, I ended up adding those little stitches. It helped hold on the back, and it just looked pretty, so I liked that. And I love that I can reuse some of my favorite pieces of clothing in some jewelry. This is such a cool way to save some things that you love and that hold memory and are just pretty. And so I think I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start with all these pieces together, and I'm gonna try, I'm gonna trim this a little. Just make it a little smaller. Okay, so I have my little backing. I'm going to do some quick stitches to hold this backing on so that when I stitch through everything, it doesn't move around as much. So I'll do 3. And you see, you can kind of, you have the backing sticking out, but we're going to trim that later. And honestly, like however this works for you, do it that way. I did it different every time. It kind of depends on your fabric and the materials that you're using. Okay. So I feel like I got a good starting place. All right, so we have our backing and our word stitched on. Now I'm going to take my wrap strands and I'm going to start stitching them on here. Now I did 3. You could, if you had a little bit thicker ones or you had some different kinds of material, you can do a different approach. I am really not overthinking this, so I am going to just put these pieces in. The less you think, the better it turns out, I think. And I do like 3 or 4 stitches per strand. So on this black on black, you're not even going to see the stitches, so really it doesn't matter. And you can start feeling it firm up. Okay, there's the first one. Let me grab, let's see. So some of these had the embroidery on it, and some of them, I think, didn't. Let's see, maybe this would look good with that too. I'm just gonna play around with some different materials to see what goes. I like that. I'm gonna work in a little bit of this material also. I think the more random, the better. And when you're working with like these upcycled materials, it's so much fun because they really do dictate like to you what they need. So I think you get the idea. I'm gonna go off camera and finish stitching the wrap part of the bracelet, and then I'll be back and show you how you can use these in your projects. Okay, so I just finished attaching all of my wraps. So I have 3 on this side and 3 on this side. And I do make one side a little bit longer. I just think it's better to have longer than not enough. But you can always add on to these. You can stitch or tie. I just wanted to show you the back and how I finish and make sure this is really secure. So I will go kind of underneath it all with my embroidery floss just a couple times. It's just back and forth. I just want to make sure that all of the little pieces are secure and are not going to come unhooked. And I just give it a few tugs and I go back again. Since this is black on black, it really like isn't showing up whatsoever, so you can just do whatever. If it was white, you may want to be a little more careful. I'm going to tie a knot, and I'm going to tie another knot. So I'm just going to give myself a double knot, and I'm going through, and I'm going to trim that nice and tight. And at this point, I'm going to decide if I need to trim the backing or if I want to stitch and make that a little bit more secure. Like I could stitch around the edges. I could just put a few little stitches like this to hold the backing on. I didn't end up needing a backing on my bracelet, the first one I did. They kind of settle in, so as you wear them, they will kind of make, as you wear them, they'll kind of mold to your skin or your arm, I should say. So I'm going to wrap and see how long I want these. I do think I want this to be a bracelet. And I remembered wrapping 2 and then 1, just depending on how much fabric you want and how thick the fabric is. You're just going to play around until it feels right. So I think I'm going to go one more time. So you see like why I made those longer, just so I can have some to trim. And of course I'm doing this left-handed, so it's not going to be easy, but get that nice and tight. I like to do it tight because the fabric does stretch, and the heat of your skin will make it stretch even more. And there's my wrap. So I'm going to trim this, and I'm going to decide, you could add some beads on here that would look really pretty, or you could do some small bead stitches around here. The sky's the limit. Have fun with this technique, and we would love for you to share your creations with us. So tag us on Instagram at Lovely Little Letters Club, and we hope that we see lots of you making these mindful little stitch gifts to yourself. So thanks for joining me. We'll see you again soon.